Welcome to the cold, hard truth on sports. I apologize in advance if I am out of line here.
Brace yourselves, boys. We're going in.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you were doing?
I can't believe you.
I'm not reading. I'm just looking at the picture. Welcome to the cold, hard truth on sports.
Welcome, everybody, to the great week here of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I am your host, Matthew Long, and I will be joined shortly here by my co-host, Kevin Crest. We in the sports world are in a bit of shock and sadness over the recent passing Sunday morning of former Lakers great Kobe Bryant, passing away at the age of 41. Sorry. And I think this is one of those rare people that that we've been able to sit back and watch and literally grow with. Came into the league at 18. Played for 20 seasons. 20 seasons. And I could tell you, by far, he is and was one of my favorite players to watch, to follow, and to look to, and for examples of tenacity and work ethic, passion, and dedication to their craft. And a lot of people wondered, what would he do after basketball? Just because he was just so basketball, And then he leaves basketball, and he writes a short film. And he wins an award. And another award. And then he releases a series of books. We heard about his body armor drink competition to Powerade and Gatorade. Kobe's he had a holding company, an investment company, and he owned a lot of shares in a lot of technology stocks. I was just reading Forbes saying that combined assets under management, they value it around $3 billion. And it's to some people's amazement that that after basketball, he decided to go away from sports. But one of the great things I could say about Kobe Bryant, the guy was a well-read guy. You know, I remember reading in Phil Jackson's book, he's talking about Kobe kind of being somewhat recluse at times. And you could imagine why, you know, pretty much all the way up to high school, growing up in Italy, very different environment, very culturally different, and going to Philly, playing basketball in high school, and then going to the NBA. So just knowing he wanted to be the best, and he fought and played his entire career, like in his own words, like he was the 12th man on the end of the bench instead of the guy at the top of the bench. And you know, again, he came into a league at a really interesting time in the history of the sport, where it was, you know, really after the height of Michael Jordan, but yet before LeBron came into the league. And he's about 6 years. He's about 6 years older than myself, LeBron. So he's league about 6 years. 6 years before. And then you have, you know, guys like Allen Iverson that came up and put his touch on the league. And you had the Vince Carters and Tracy McGrady's that came in and put their touch on the league. And all while Kobe's playing at the top of his game, he's winning titles with Shaq, but no matter really what he puts out there, it doesn't seem like he's ever seen as at the time in the same vein that Michael was talked about, or many people talk about LeBron James, you know, in the last 5 years or so, anytime within the last 5 years, you know, just as the overall best player. And I mean, you can look at it, and when you see it, and when you talk to the people who played with him and against him, I mean, I don't think there was a doubt in their minds. But as far as the media and fans and stuff, outside of Lakers fans and city of Los Angeles, he didn't seem to get maybe some of his necessary due at the time. And, you know, that's the thing is, that's the beauty of hindsight being 20/20. You know, and I could sit here and I could go over all his stats and argue for him as, you know, being, you know, one of the Mount Rushmore players of basketball. But that we saw here within the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, where he got his life back. Being able to spend time with his kids and his wife, who he had been together with since they were 17. And I say that, and I know a lot of you talk about the infidelity or the rumors of infidelity, the Colorado trial, and I'm not going to get deep into that. We all know what it is. We all know what his remarks were, and that being the pre-Me Too era, obviously we saw a bit different, maybe a bit different opportunity for him to maybe vindicate himself and his actions and and everything moving forward, because he came out the next season MVP, scored 80 points in a game, 81 points in a game. It's just phenomenal. But after, being able to be the father, being able to, some things is just being, I know in the area they lived in, they actually went to the mall a lot. When you have kids that are small, there's not a lot of things and a lot of places you can really go to. And mall playgrounds and little, little small kind of attractions, I'd say, at malls and stuff like that, help keep the kids occupied, for the first, probably till around 6, and then you can start 5, 6, you start doing other things. But just being able to spend time with his family and his kids, it's a big part. My kids are a big part of the professions that I've got into, and being able to have flexibility, and now in his in that second stage of his life, in his second and third careers, he was able to do that. Spend time with his kids, creating books, short films, and that is truly something that was amazing. And I remember we were actually Sunday, we went to a farmer's market, and I was with my son. He was looking at, they had a stand that had Hot Wheels cars. He was looking at Hot Wheels cars, and I heard some guy was like, I don't know if it was kind of like his tone was kind of jokingly saying it, or I was just kind of like, why would you say that? Not even like thinking that it was the realm of the possibility it could be true. And then he kept saying it, and then I walked over and I heard somebody else say something about it. And I got on my phone, I started looking at reports. And we'll get into the handling of that here shortly. But some reports said it crashed, some said he had died, some, just so many different reports that came in over the course of, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours. And it's just one of those kind of stunning things. I've looked at countless comments on social media and interviews over the last couple days since his passing, and people's remarks and remembering him. And it's so crazy. You can tell when somebody has truly made a mark. They're they're truly, in a way, iconic. And in a bigger than just life way, when you see so many people have an overwhelming emotional reaction to somebody that they've never met, and they never knew, and who they were almost 100% certain that he had no idea who they were. But yet, it was crazy because Kobe Bryant gave this sense of familiarity to everybody. And I think because being in sports and playing football, playing basketball, and the time period I grew up, I mean, he's, like I said, 6 years older than me. So he was old enough to be in the limelight, come into the limelight at a time where I could probably really start appreciating what I was seeing in the world of sports and what I was doing in the world in sports in general, around, 12, 13 years old. And at the same time, seeing somebody that's somewhat not too far from your age grow and rise to success, but also that they're there throughout, your time in high school, college, into adulthood, into family life, and they become a family person, and you kind of have grown with this person. I think for me, that's another thing that kind of have made it more of, I don't know, that sort of relationship, if you would call it that. So, and that's the thing is, it's going to be like, I've never lost a child. So to sit back and kind of try to understand from his wife, Vanessa Bryant's, from her perspective of what that would feel like, her oldest child. And her husband, someone she's been with forever, literally have been with him throughout her entire life. She's been with him longer than she had been without him. That's literally how long they had been together. That is a long time. And I've never lost a spouse, so I can't begin to really think or understand the pain or how that is. I did lose a parent, and the thing is, his kids are so young, and this is part that I think is even a more heart-wrenching part. I was 22 when my father passed away. He died at 52. He died at 52. Like, I was literally just being able to get to really spend time and understand my dad and talk as, as two men, and not, so much as a kid anymore, and just really being able to start appreciating the relationship to that level, and he passes. So to understand and feel what it is to lose somebody unexpectedly at way too young of an age, I can completely empathize with that. But it really breaks my heart because, I mean, at 22, I have a lot of memories, that I can recall and life I can recall of my father. But for them, they're so young. Just because of that, what they're able to actually recall is going to be minimal, to say the least. The 3-year-old, man. 3-year-old's there's not gonna be a whole lot of memory there. For the 7-month-old, Daddy's just a picture. Is some pictures of holding you. It's just so deeply saddening. But for him to come out of basketball and to make such a big impact on life and the world, and how he was trying to, at a grassroots way, to help build up basketball, specifically girls and women's basketball, big support of them. Coaching his daughter's team and being a mentor for the youth, it's great to see through the trials and tribulations and growth and what came out in the end was something that obviously people adored and admired in the utmost. But let me bring in my co-host. He's an author as well. The P.K. Frazier novel series, which you can go over to Amazon right now and pick up over on Amazon. Just type in P.K. Frazier. That'll come right up. He's also one of our top contributors for college football, as well as the editor for golf, Mr. Kevin Crest. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm doing just fine, Matthew. I heard your conversation about Kobe Bryant, and it kind of took my breath away. That Sunday afternoon, I was watching TV and had just paying attention on my PC, and lo and behold, something popped up that Kobe Bryant, 1978 to 2020. I glanced at it and thought, what is that? So yes, that was quite startling Sunday afternoon, and I echo a lot of what you said. But I thought he was terrific. I'm a Lakers fan, and I remember my wife and I were on a vacation in 2010, and my birthday just happened to fall on the same night as Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals, when the Lakers were playing the Celtics. And my wife asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I want to go out someplace to watch a game. And sure enough, we went out and watched the game. We watched that game, which just turned out to be the final, or the most recent Lakers national championship with, and of course, Kobe won the MVP, series MVP, a great Game 7. And so I met at night, and when I was watching all the coverage Sunday afternoon, I just thought about how exciting that was to watch that game and for them to win the finals. And win his 5th NBA championship. And I think, unfortunately for Kobe, he played the same position as Michael Jordan, so the comparisons were always were inevitable, right? To compare Kobe with Michael, and I think it was fair comparison. I think Kobe was his own guy, probably early in his career even a better scorer than Michael Jordan was. And I was talking to somebody today, and Michael Jordan is widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time, and in fact, he was named the greatest athlete of the century by, I think it was ESPN or I think Sports Illustrated. And I tend to disagree. I don't. I grew up. I lived in a Michael Jordan era. I mean, I watched him play basketball. I was living in Virginia at the time and watched a lot of ACC basketball. And I don't necessarily think Michael Jordan was the best basketball player of all time. And I know that I'll get a lot of. It's a controversial comment because that's almost sacrilegious when it comes to basketball. But I think Kobe was right there with him. We always hold up Michael's 6 rings, but for the first 6 or 7 years, the Bulls weren't all that great. They were okay, but they were much better teams. The Celtics and then the Pistons, and finally it took some time for the Bulls to emerge. And so I just think that Kobe was right there with Michael, and unfortunately played a similar position. But I thought he was great, and his longevity, and the comparison ends when they retired, because Michael Jordan hasn't done a whole lot since he retired, at least in my estimation, outside of himself. I don't hear a lot of philanthropic conversation about Jordan. You don't hear a lot of I've never seen a picture of him in a children's hospital, that's for sure. And I look at you look at what Kobe did or was doing. I think that as a person, individually, he was starting to make some great strides, late in his life, and so it's a real tragedy. It's absolutely a tragedy, and all of everything being said about him and all the tributes, I think, are justified. A life cut way too short in a tragic manner. Great career, great post-basketball career, another career. An Academy Award, for goodness sakes. Unbelievable stuff. So I obviously feel for his family and the families of all the people that were killed in that wreck. And it's just so ironic. He was trying to stay out of traffic in Southern California, which can be a nightmare if you've ever had to drive in it, and I have, as recently as October. It's dangerous, and here he was thinking of making a safer form of transportation. It turned out not to be that day, and so it's just tragedy. So the sports world certainly, I think, was paying proper tribute. The NBA players were doing some great things. The Raptors and the Spurs each took 24-second calls to start the game, and it's a classy thing and a classy move by a lot of people on his behalf. So it's a sad week in the NBA, and sad obviously for his family and all those families involved. And for that team, there was a couple players and a couple of parents and coaches, and it was just tragic. Words escape us at a time like that, obviously.
I'm seeing some reports here, ESPN being one of the sources. They're reporting when the bodies were recovered that Gianna was in Kobe's arms still. Is that?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't need to hear that stuff. I'm sorry. It's like I don't need all the gory details. The thing crashed or dead is terrible. I'm sorry.
I think
I have 4 daughters of my own.
I have 2.
They're ranging in age from
I think
18 to 28.
I think I only bring that up just to kind of move on in this topic to another part of it. The handling of information. You know, as members of the media, it is my solemn belief that we have a very large role, a very big responsibility in how information is shared and distributed. And reporting things doesn't necessarily mean reporting everything. And I only brought that up because I saw it, and then I like I always do with anything before I open my mouth about it, I check it. I go to vet it. I want to make sure who else is reporting it. And that information, as maybe touching and maybe heartwarming, it maybe to some people, and I don't want to hear that. I don't. That's something that didn't need to be reported. Like you said, it's a detail that doesn't really need to be said.
Well, also, Matthew, there was a lot of erroneous reporting early on in this process. We had Dave Gorn on last week.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you're interested in Dave Gorn, the executive director of the National Sports Media Association, I thought it was a great interview, didn't you? I really think it was awesome. We touched on this topic, right?
Yes.
With him. In fact, he named it as one of the big issues facing
sports
industry.
Yep.
And the initial report were 5 dead, and I heard even a report that there were none of his children on board. It was erroneous. I mean, it was just flat out wrong.
Yeah, because the initial that he died, and he was survived by his wife and 4 children, and it was like, okay, so he was just on a flight by himself, and then it was, oh well, there was other people, and Gigi, Gianna was there, his 13-year-old daughter, and and it's like, well, maybe they were going to some basketball sort of thing. It's they have these things, and ultimately the LA County sheriffs came to it, and they got every flight has to have an itinerary that says who's on board a flight. It's a law. You can't fly without one. The manifest.
Yeah, the flight manifest.
Now, private helicopters like this, aren't required to have a black box. Though I feel maybe after this, they might be. There was an iPad on board that evidently they were able to track some of it through that. They've looked back at weather patterns and stuff of what kind of led to it. But it just seems like, and I know Dave Gorin said this last week, and we've said this many times, is people seem to be more interested in being the first to get, and because they want a trend. They want a trend, and they want their 5 minutes. But that's the thing is, if the information you're putting out is not accurate, then you should not put it out. Or if the information you have can compromise people or relationships, then it's something that you shouldn't put out. I knew about the interests and the plans for Tampa Bay Rays, what they were interested in and where they wanted to build their stadium 3 years before they announced it. But I was, asked to sit on it till the time was right. So about 4 months before they announced it, I did. So, and especially things with life and death. I'm pretty sure there was reports not too long ago that Ric Flair passed away, and he's actually still alive. So, people get pretty quick to post and comment and retweet and, not to check and make sure, and that's the thing. And the thing is, like, the sobering part about some of it, especially, some people is just like, yeah, I don't believe that. Ice Cube, he said that, he heard the reports, so he's Ice Cube, probably next to Jack Nicklaus is probably the biggest Laker fan. He just texted Kobe because they're tight like that. And I don't think Kobe didn't text him back right away a lot of times, but it got to a point where it was like, yeah, I'm not getting a text back. So, it's important to report useful and accurate information, not just go. And that's the thing is, we got this culture that is so. It's just, they're addicted to rumors, like smack, and that just seems to be.
Well, I'll call TMZ out on that. I'll call TMZ out on that. They widely reported something that was erroneous. I mean, the sheriff's department they gave their press conference and immediately said there were 9 people on board based on a manifest.
Yeah.
Well, TMZ do their homework, right? I mean, a journalist would have asked for a copy of the manifest.
Yeah,
or at least the number of people on manifest, right?
I mean,
that's a journalist.
Yeah, the other thing is,
I don't count TMZ
and
as journalists.
There's some there. It seems like they're part paparazzi and part, I don't want to say journalist. It seems they report on news in a way that may not be the utmost or as fitting for everybody. For a lot of people, it just wouldn't feel comfortable delivering or, coming about sources and their news the way they do. Because obviously, most of the stuff that they have to report on generally has more of the gossipy or negative connotation to it. Now, I will say that they do a good job of getting information a lot of the time. And they pay dearly for information and video and stuff like that because of the type of reporting they're known for. But in this situation, especially them being based there in LA, it shouldn't have been anything for them to get with air traffic control and verify a manifest. That seems like, you're telling me Kobe Bryant died on a helicopter crash. Wouldn't you want to get the documentation that shows that he was even on the flight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't exactly know how necessarily have TV ups, but I mean, I would say they factually got this wrong.
Yes.
On 2 fronts. One is saying that the number of people on board, and secondly, that there were none of his daughters on board. Well, I think that's a rather key element of this, and listen, you hear it all the time now in sports, and people have to retract. No, the Ric Flair story is a perfect example. I actually thought Ric Flair was dead.
Yeah.
He shocked me tonight when he said he wasn't. I actually had heard reports that he died, right?
Yeah.
I even think I remember seeing an interview with his wife. Or his wife, or whatever. It was weird, and I'm going, no, it's not like, oh no, you missed this, you missed on this, but you didn't. You were dead on, and sure enough, he is in fact alive.
He is alive.
Now he was hospitalized.
Yeah.
He was hospitalized last May, and that's when the reports of his death were greatly exaggerated. That's a good example, but I think it points to what we talked to Dave about last week on the fact that he came from the print media, and you have to check sources, and you need two sources. That's out the window now. In general, these days, no check sources. They just say something, and they say, oh, they print a retraction if they have to at some point, and nobody has to retract. They just see the sensationalism from the initial story. And I hate the sports.
And this is part of
getting into that. And
when a lot of people say, athletes get it, and again, there's where athletes get overly obsessed because something comes out, of them, and they don't want it to come out, or it came out, and maybe they're the source, but they overreact publicly, so it doesn't seem like they shared the information. There's that, and they say, "Oh, you hide behind your source. That's the thing is that is partially accurate. I mean, but also in the process of news and reporting news and reporting events and things that are going on, it is important that in many cases that information maybe don't want to share who they are. So for they want anonymity. And
I don't mind an anonymous source as long as it's reliable and that you verified it and verified another source. I don't bother with anonymity, especially when it's coming from like a police department or somewhere where somebody doesn't want to violating some kind of standard or something like that. But I'm sure TMZ, I mean, you're right. They're there in the elevator. They probably have so many people running around on their behalf that tell them things and kind of thing. And I'm sure they got somebody that gave them a call and said, "Hey, there's been a helicopter crash. Kobe Bryant was on board, and we hear this is how many people were there." And so they were the first ones to report. It was like 2 or 3 hours after the crash, a couple hours after the crash. So I can pick on them only because I think they say nice things. They make things. TMZ becomes part of the story, and I don't believe that I don't believe that the journalists themselves should be part of the story. They should report it, not be the story.
Well, that's the thing is because they take that role probably more than most news outlets as an entertainment. A lot of it's entertainment first, it seems like. And that's a big part of the problem, and it doesn't matter the news station that you turn to, especially the big organizations. Is you hear, and I say, hey, do this. Turn it on any of them. At the start of a show, you get someone's opening monologue, same way we do here on this show. But the thing is, I'm not trying to disguise what we're talking about, this news, as news. This is our opinions. That's what we're here. We're sharing our opinions, our views, our talks, our take on whatever it is in sports. But it's not to be confused with a genuine reporting. And a lot of these news agencies, you get a genuine. You get a report, a snippet of a report, a part of a report, and then they get a panel of people, and then they argue about it. And that's all it is. It's not any news from that point. It's just a bunch of people giving a bunch of opinions based on their own facts. And the thing is, they say you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. But seems like people, pick and choose their facts too. So these news agencies want ratings so they could sell ads, and that's really what drives it more, And literally, you can, like, for example, the NFL in sports in the United States, that's what drives sports. So you're gonna hear just about everybody talk NFL. Doesn't matter where, to some extent. Even tonight, we will talk about the Super Bowl eventually. And why?
Well, and I want to make one more. I want to make one more comment too about the death of Kobe Bryant. Is that the Lakers-Clippers game that was scheduled for tonight was postponed to a date in the future, and that's easy to do because it's the Lakers and Clippers. They play in the same arena, so
yeah,
and they'll just find some off date that's amenable to both teams and be able to reschedule that game because it's even though it's an away game for the Clippers, it's in their arena, so it shouldn't be hard.
It's not their. It's that's the arena Kobe built. The Clippers rent. They rent office space. And
I believe that's appropriate for them to postpone this game. I think. The Lakers requested it. The Clippers agreed. Being right there in the same market, the Clippers agreed, and the league said fine. And so I think it was sounded like it was handled very well. No animosity, no problems, no controversy around it. So it makes sense to do that. It did make sense for them to do that. And so I think, the entire, the Clippers being from the same city, same arena, I'm sure there was, they felt a lot of the things that the Lakers fans did as well. Kobe, hero is a bad word. I don't like to use hero outside of the Miller context, but he was well thought of and adored by fans. He was instrumental in them winning five NBA titles. Magic Johnson himself called him the greatest Laker, and that's some high praise considering all the great players that have played for the Lakers, right? I mean, the Lakers had Jerry West, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain later in their careers, but all these guys,
and even
now LeBron James,
even Michael Jordan. Because in an interview with Michael Jordan, they asked him, "Do you think anybody could do one-on-one?" And he said no. He's like, "Wait, I take that back. Kobe Bryant, but that's it. That's because he stole my entire game. That's why. I think only Kobe." And that's the thing is, they had actually developed a close, relationship, and I know hooked up to Michael, and obviously, and you can go on YouTube.
I would have paid to see that. I'd have paid to see that.
The interview?
Back in the day,
yeah.
No, Kobe playing Michael Jordan. No, so played until 2001.
Yeah.
I can't remember how long he played. Kobe came into the league in '97. They overlapped at the end of. I think Kobe's rookie year was the last for the Bulls, the '98 win against the Jazz. A lot of his rookie year. After that, of course, he did. So it was in the end of Michael's career, beginning of it, but they were both so competitive. I think that's where there's a lot of similarity in their style of play, the way they just relentlessly attacked their opponent on offense. That's how they played. That's what they did. They both played good defense. Michael Jordan played outstanding defense. So they played every game. They played, and so there was a lot of similarity in that respect in terms of style and tenacity, and they were both scores. Kobe's second highest scoring game in all of NBA history. Heck, his last game he scored 61 points. Are you kidding me? Are you saying he wasn't? I could have played another year. He didn't, because he didn't. Number one, he didn't need the money. The Lakers had basically mortgaged their franchise to pay him the last 2 years, make up for not paying him earlier in his career. So, Buss basically, they didn't have any money to pay anybody else, but they paid Kobe, and so he retired because he couldn't play at the same level he wanted to. The guy. Listen, I consider him one of the 5 players of all time, and that he may get moved down that list, but my top 5 are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. That's my top 5. You can argue, but that's top 5. And LeBron, if he brings a title to the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm going to have to take over Michael, just because you can't blindly. LeBron is leading the NBA in assists this year, over 11 assists a game at the age of 5. Remarkable. The guy been to 9 finals. 9 finals in a 15-year career. It's remarkable. It's just remarkable what he's been able to do, and he's still going strong. You look at the games he's played. They talked about the wear and Kobe. Both of them came out right out of high school, but Kobe didn't make the number of finals that not quite the number of finals that LeBron did. But man, so it was my top 5. There's obviously a lot of guys that can 5, right? The Magics and the Larry Birds and the Jerry West, and I put Tim Duncan in there somewhere. But those are my top 5. I think there's a couple guys that get overlooked. Moses Malone was amazing and kind of looked in all this. Came out in 1975. He came out of school as well into the ABA. At the time, the ABA was in high school guys, but the NBA wasn't. And so, they got a few of those guys. There's, I could make a case for Julius Erving, but he didn't play that long. He didn't play as long, and his numbers weren't as. He didn't have the titles. He had 1 title. But Kobe's 5. LeBron has 3. Michael has 6. Gosh knows, I can't block back of what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had. He had 1 at the Bucks and some with the Lakers. But those are my guys.
I kind of want to
right now.
I want to go over some of the things that the league has been talking about, though, in his honor, or things that people have suggested. One was instant retirement, or instant Hall of Fame, like not waiting for the and having to vote. That he's just right now automatically in the Hall of Fame, the only player to ever do that. They talked about the logo.
The precedent. Well, the precedent for that was Roberto Clemente died in 1971 in a plane crash where he was transporting relief supplies to Puerto Rico.
Yes.
His plane crashed, and he passed. I believe that the Baseball Hall of Fame inducted him pretty quickly. So there is some precedent for that. To me, it doesn't. For something like that, it doesn't matter. He's going to be in no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And he's dead. It's not like he should be able to. To be able to appreciate it. But I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily see the need for it. I think he's going to be he's a slam dunk anyway. But yeah, go ahead. I interrupted that. Yeah, there is precedent for that.
Yes.
There is precedent for that.
The other is that to change the logo to his silhouette, which Jerry West actually has been in support of when it has been evidently been bounced around. The idea's been bounced around before. I know him and Kobe were very close, especially with his time with and around the Lakers organization. So he was, I know he's always been very admirable of, or seen Kobe in a very admirable light, and felt that he was deserving of it. So that's nice, when the guy that is the logo is supporting of, yeah. You want to change the logo to Kobe Bryant? Sure.
Well, but okay, and I hate to. I mean, listen, it's 2 days after Kobe's death and all that. And it's like the worst, most tragic death in sports history. And it's not. It is a tragic death. I mean, he's been retired for several years, and everybody eventually. I don't want to say here, and I'm going to get myself in trouble. But everybody eventually dies. I mean, and so to all these changes because somebody 3 or 4 years after he retires, perishes in an accident. I mean, it's to me the constant jerk reaction. I mean, if you're going to change the logo, and the guy most people consider the best player of all time, Michael Jordan, why don't you make it for Michael Jordan? I mean, obviously Jerry West is not exactly objective in this. He's the guy that made the trade to bring Kobe Bryant to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my journal out. I'm going to put my objective journalism. I'm not going to get swept up in this emotion over the death of a former player. I mean, yes, Kobe Bryant was a great player. Yes, it's a tragic accident. But let's put the brakes on here, okay? I mean, hold on a second. And I have heard talk about the logo being changed. But there's, like we just talked about, there's a lot of it could be on that list to be the logo. I mean, when Jerry West was made the logo, the league wasn't anything like it is today, right? And,
I don't think
it was, gosh.
And they didn't. It wasn't something they had discussed with him. They just picked a silhouette. It just happened to be Jerry West.
Yeah, exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm old enough to have seen Jerry West play, and he was really good. Okay, no question about that. But if my feeling is the NBA doesn't need to have a silhouette of a player in their logo. They can any logo they want. If you're gonna change the person's silhouette, then why not change the entire logo itself and just do away with the person? But my point is that talk about this is where we can get really away in this era of social media where everybody gets a vote. If everybody has an Instagram account or a Twitter account or a Facebook account, and everybody's a journalist. Everybody gets to say anonymous. I'm just saying, let's back up the truck here a second and hold on, because some of these suggestions are a little bit, I mean, were the same people arguing for it right now arguing for it on Saturday night for Kobe Bryant to be the logo?
No, I doubt it. But you know what the funny thing is, because you mentioned everybody has a vote, and Fox has.
They think they do. Let me put it this way:
they feel they do, or they feel they should. They
feel they deserve a vote. They feel like they deserve a vote. That's probably the better terminology for that.
Yeah.
They feel they deserve a vote.
So they have a show called The Orville. I mean, I don't know. Were you a Star Trek fan? Much? The original or any of them?
Sure. Oh yeah, my favorite was the one that they've reprised right now with Patrick Stewart as Captain Kirk. That was my favorite.
The Next Generation
of the Star Trek. The Next Generation. That was my favorite of the Star Wars, and I even liked that better than the original. The original was, it was in the late '60s. I remember I watched it. I'm old enough to have seen it. It was really cool, but the original Star Trek was only on for 3 seasons. It wasn't that popular. But the special effects were really
what actually made
'60s, right?
Yeah, because it was. Well, that's the thing is it was the space. The thought of space and Mars and the moon, and it was that wonderment that people had in their mind because of the era that it was in. And yeah, like you said, it was short lived as far as the series, but it was enough of a following that they smartly went into movies after that, and the movies were.
Oh, the movies were fantastic. The movies were great.
Big
hits.
Of
course, the movies benefited, of course, from the better special effects and because it was on the
bigger
big
budget.
Screen, they could spend more money on it.
Exactly.
Absolutely, all that. It was way better. Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I digress, though.
Yeah, I was a Star. I am a Star Trek fan. Yeah,
There's a
like
show.
I went to the movies.
There's a show called The Orville, and it's a sci-fi thriller comedy. It is from the creator of Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane. So it does have, you can see some components in it of Star Trek. I will tell you, I have seen almost every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So there are literally episodes of this of the Orville that are like, yeah, you definitely ripped that story off. But they have one that's a really original one. They go to a planet, and again, it's a planet that I believe that they weren't aware that of space travel yet, and the way that the political system was. Is literally, if somebody felt like you committed a crime, it was just like Twitter. It was like social media. It was just an outrage on there, and people would vote if you should go to trial or not. It was all public opinion, 100% public opinion. And then you'd have to go on this game show and try to argue or prove your innocence on a game show. And an apology tour, and it was interesting and kind of disturbing at the same time because it really does mimic some.
Sounds like the impeachment proceeding. Never mind. So I won't go there.
It does seem remarkably like social media. And how a lot of things are addressed on social media, and that's the crazy thing is that there are literally things that trend and are a big deal on social media. But if you really look into the community of something, or you look into, what's going on around it in real life, it's really not a big deal,
Yeah. Yeah, I've got news for the Twitter nation, for people that live and die by Twitter. Most people don't base their daily life and opinions on Twitter. Twitter's been embraced by even the sports shows, right?
I have watched
you don't
NFL games on Twitter.
Normal people,
live.
Yeah, but normal people going about normal business during a normal day. Normal is a bad word. Just the routine.
Yeah.
They're not looking at Twitter, right? I mean, I don't go to the grocery store and see people tweeting going up and down the aisles. They're actually living their lives without the benefit of Twitter. I mean, you can exist. You can have an actual fulfilling life without Twitter. We had it before. We had Twitter. We have it now. And so basing your popularity, your Twitter followers and things like that is, this is my opinion, of course, is not taking into consideration all of reality. It's only taking into consideration the Twitter reality, which, by the way, is kind of skewed.
Yeah.
From a demographic and other standpoint, right?
Understand that
Now,
whenever you go onto social media, and even we throw in, if you go on Google, if you're going on the internet to research something, I implore everybody, click on the little tab and go into incognito mode before you do it. The reason being is because the algorithms on all these sites, they collect the cookies, they have artificial intelligence that is monitoring and calculating what it thinks you like, right? And that's what it wants to show you, what you want to see, what it thinks you want to see, but it may not be what you're trying when you're trying to find facts.
That you want to see.
What's that?
Right.
So, and that's the thing is if you go into incognito mode, it doesn't see that stuff. There's nothing to it's not able to look at, take into consideration who a user is. The AI crawlers aren't searching for it. Your data, because it's blocked. So, it's even when you go on, I mean, literally, like here's another freaky thing. So, I want you to do this, Kevin. Do you use South Beach? South Beach diet? Do you ever do the South Beach diet or
No.
what's it, the South Beach or Beach Body? Beach Body? Any Beach Body?
Have.
Okay. So around your phone, unlocked. I want people to try this. This is freaky. Around your phone with it unlocked. Beach Body. Talked about Beach Body. I'm going to say Beach Body, and then start looking at your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you're at, what ads come up on Google and your Amazon. You're going to start noticing that you're going to have more fitness stuff. Beach Body will pop up a couple times itself. Again, maybe you're not somebody that's fitness related. And maybe you are fitness related, pick a topic that you don't care anything about, but you want to repeat it several times, just while the phone's unlocked or when you're on your, you're around the Alexa device or whatever, and watch. Not asking it to do this. It picks it up, and you start getting fed ads for whatever that is. It's freaky. But that just goes to show you, I mean, we want to rely on information from places, and artificial intelligence is force-feeding us what it thinks we want or what it wants us to see. So you have to do a really specific search in incognito mode a lot of times to find something. The funny thing is it still might be easier to find the most specific stuff you're looking for by going to the library or somewhere and getting an archived copy of a newspaper, or actually going to that publications or going to site publications and searching on their site versus searching on the search engine, just looking for everything on the internet, and I mean, again, if you find it in one place, check another. I mean, places like Bloomberg, the Associated Press, and I was just, as we were talking earlier, the Associated Press, on a couple occasions have killed people. Bloomberg, Bill Gates, they killed Bill Gates months before he actually died. They did like a 7-page article on it. And said they didn't mean to publish it. But that's kind of a big mistake. Who think of that. If you have an editor that says, "Hey, listen, there's this person that's not dead yet. They're alive. But I want you to write an article as if they died." Like, is there really that little to talk about?
I'm going to date myself. I'm going to date myself here again, as I often do. But interesting, there was an episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, back in the 70s, where that very thing happened. Most news organizations prepare obituaries for famous people. They're there. They have them written, right, and ready to go in the case of somebody passing away. So they're ready, right? They don't have to put this thing together. And the Mary Tyler Moore Show, they actually, read an obituary over the air on the news, somebody that actually was still alive. So anyway, it happened. I mean, I guess the Ric Flair thing is a good example of more recently, right? I mean,
yeah,
he was supposedly dead. I thought he was dead.
I remember Martin Lawrence was evidently found in his hotel room. I think it was back in a few years ago. Eddie Murphy had died in a crash or something like that, a car accident. It was thought that even there was, I think, a couple reports when Kevin Hart got in a car accident. He didn't die, clearly. He made another movie with The Rock because we don't have enough movies with The Rock right now. We're on a short supply of
he's in
The Rock.
He's in the Jumanji. He's in the Jumanji franchise.
Is it really a franchise? Like,
well, it's the third. It's the second one, and they're actually it's Jumanji 3. The original one was with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. So but it's the second. It was the second one with Kevin Hart and Jack Black and The Rock.
Yeah.
And they're planning the third one with that same cast. But yes, I'll call anything with two or more. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that.
With three is a franchise, right?
Have you seen Doolittle yet?
Yeah, it's just a franchise. No.
With Robert Downey Jr. I haven't seen it yet.
I have not.
I want to take my kids to see that. I want to go see that. I don't care if they come or not, to be honest with you. Obviously, we know, speaking of saying Eddie Murphy that he's very much not dead. He was on Saturday Night Live about a month ago for the first time since he had left Saturday Night Live. It was a pretty decent episode. And we know him, since doing his stand-up comedy Raw. It's kind of gotten less raw since then. Obviously, being Dr. Dolittle, he did, I think, 3 films, and then the girl that played the daughter ended up doing 2 more films after that. But obviously, Dr. Dolittle, based on the character from the Dr. Dolittle books. Well, the version that they're putting out now with Robert Downey Jr., Dolittle, is actually like a movie of the book. It's more depicting of the book. Because I remember reading the book to my kids. And I was like, this is a remarkably different story than any of the others. And it's a much better story, I think. Just like the Jungle Book. Again, Jungle Book would probably up there for, as far as Disney movies, top 3 for me easily. And the book is very much different than the movie. So when Disney remade the live version with CGI, I guess, not really, I guess, the live version, they call it, the storyline was a little bit closer to the book. It wasn't what the book is, because again, it's vastly different. It's a different story.
Yeah, the book was one of a series by Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah.
But I remember the original Dr. Dolittle movie with Rex Harrison back in the 60s.
I do not remember that one.
I remember the 60s. And that was first. That was a Disney movie. And then Eddie Murphy reprised the role later on. A little bit different kind of movie, but yes. So what does all this have to do with the Super Bowl, you ask? Nothing, actually.
Absolutely nothing.
I say nothing. But it's been entertaining to talk about it. But so we try to segue into something sports related that's actually pretty big, which is the Super Bowl. Now, I've never believed that the hype fits the game. It's another it's an annual league championship game, right?
Yeah.
Every sport has it.
And just
in fact, the NBA and NHL and Major League Baseball have 7 games every year, and I guess that's why the Super Bowl is so bit different, because it's just one game.
Well, it is.
As opposed to the series.
The Super Bowl in and of itself has become a week-long event. Like, literally, it started yesterday. Like, people came in Saturday, Sunday, and started setup, but literally, media day, the first media day session was Monday. Right away, right off the bat, they have people out there talking about the game. Some of the events that lead up to it, it's just nonstop. They have, fan events. They have, they get the players involved in dinners and all kinds of different stuff. And that's the thing, is like, it's so unlike anything else that you would experience throughout the season, just because, like, normally that week up to it, you could spend a lot of time preparing. There'd be some media here and there, but literally, like, 50 to 60% of your time is all media, all, events, appearances, all this dog and pony show of football, and just lead up to the game. And that's the thing, is, like you said, it's the hype that, the game may not ever live up to. But as far as, have you been to the Super Bowl or been Super Bowl week before? Kevin?
Yeah, I guess I lived in Tampa Super Bowl week of 2000. Was it 2002, 2001? Forget which year it was. Super Bowl was Tampa, but I was traveling. I couldn't get. I wanted to, but I.
Oh, the Whitney Houston one.
Witnessed firsthand. Huh?
Houston.
Yeah, I haven't witnessed firsthand Super Bowl week on the ground. at a venue.
Were you lived in Tampa when Whitney Houston sang the national anthem in Tampa?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that would have.
I think that was actually.
Whitney Houston.
I think that was like 98.
No, this was later. I lived in Tampa from 98 to 2003, and somewhere in there the Super Bowl was in Tampa. I can't remember which one it was.
Because they had it. It was there in 2009 when I moved there. 2009. So it would have been the one before that.
They had it in the early 2000s. Yeah, the one before that in Tampa. It was shortly after the new stadium had been built. It was in the new stadium because I actually went to many games in the new stadium, and so. But no, I didn't actually make it down there. I was traveling at the time a lot, and I didn't make it down there. But no, I have not witnessed firsthand a Super Bowl. I actually, from a fan perspective, have no desire to go to a Super Bowl.
2003.
And since I'm a Redskins fan, that's not happening. It hasn't happened in the last 30 years. It's probably not going to happen in the next 30 years. And so so I probably won't have any interest in going to the game. From a fan perspective, if I could get obviously, we could get press credentials, that'd be a whole different story.
Yeah,
but
those are just so you know.
None of us are beat writers for a team. So
yeah,
that's probably not. Usually that you need to be that. I've gotten obviously, as you know, and listeners, I am credentialed for some of the golf events. I have been credentialed to U.S. Open golf, women's U.S. Open, senior U.S. Open. Some of the things like that, which are very, very great to have as a sport. Lot better access to the players and interviews and things. But this game, now I'm sitting here in Northwest Arkansas, which is outside Kansas City, one of the biggest fan bases for Kansas City. And so Chiefs fans here, and so there's a lot of interest in the game here. So looking at the picks for the two teams, and you think, given all the hype and everything else, that the Chiefs would have this high-power offense that would outdone San Francisco. But interestingly enough, San Francisco actually outscored the Chiefs this year. Interesting. So that I think that lends credence to I believe the last line I saw was the Chiefs by 1. Now, of course, that's a betting line that has very little to do at this point with what people predict the outcome of the game to be. All that means with a 1-point line is that Vegas is going to make money either way, and they're happy. They will be very happy unless some really big late money comes in on one side or the other. Either one of these
Kansas City
teams
-1
is located in an area.
Over under.
But neither one of these teams is located
54.5.
700. Yeah. So, but neither one of these teams is in a location that would precipitate big late money. And so I'm not expecting that line to move. Now, most of the betting hasn't taken place yet, and so that line could move a little bit later. It's so close now that what it indicates is basically that the money's about even, on each team. So I don't see Vegas having much of a problem with the outcome of the game. They're probably not going to take a bath. Forget which year it was. because the Eagles won. But so they'll be happy. They'll be happy. A 1-point game. To me, Matthew, this game is being fairly even. I don't think it's going to be even. I think that I think the most relative game of the season that this could be most like is 9 games where the prevailed 48-46. Okay, fantastic football game. If you like track, but it was the kind of game to keep scoring. You know what I mean? It was a high, so you just had to keep going. It was a game, and so I see this game being that. I think of all the teams in the NFC are most like the offensively. I mean, you really like the Chiefs offensively because of the weapons. Not exactly like them, but if you look at what the Chiefs have with Michael Thomas and Kamara and Drew Brees, I mean, they that kind of game, and they can beat you a lot of ways. Holmes is younger than Drew Brees. I mean, Brees is getting up there, but so I think that if I'm Andy Reid and his coaching staff, the coach of the Chiefs, I'm watching that game. I'm watching that game film big time because the San Francisco 49ers defense is pretty good, and they recorded 48 sacks. That's 3 a game. That's a lot of sacks. In an era where you don't have a lot of sacks because the little dump down passes and the tight end play and quarterbacks running mobile. So I think that this is that. I mean, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm looking to see what the Saints did. Now the Saints lost that game, but they still put up 46 points or whatever it was against the 49ers. So I think that's the kind of game. I don't think it's going to be 48-46 because the Super Bowl, a lot of times you get those first quarter jitters, and you don't have an explosive first quarter. In fact, a lot of times you have a scoreless first quarter. But I think this could be a 38-34 kind of game. What's the over under? 54?
54.5.
Right.
54.5.
These teams.
It opened at 52.5.
Right. Okay. These teams combined in the regular season, the cumulative total of their offensive output, okay, which is a good indication, was close to 58 points a game between the two of them. Okay. So I would be tempted, or if I was going to bet the over-under, I would most likely bet the over. But that's just, the over-under, listen, they do such a good job of setting these lines, right? I mean, they really do. And that's a tough over-under. That's 30-24 is under. Yeah. That's a pretty high-scoring Super Bowl.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be really entertaining. But for most...
22 points?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and that was an explosive, high-powered offense with the Los Angeles Rams. A pretty good on Brady and the Patriots, and they didn't score any points. I have a hard time when you look at the running game of the Chiefs and the explosiveness, the running game of the Niners, the explosiveness of the Chiefs. I see some points here. Now the Niners defense can be dominant at times, but not many teams dominate the Chiefs, and especially if they get out on top. I mean, the Chiefs have not gotten out on top. They obviously first playoff game they were down. Was it 24-0?
Yeah,
came back and won that game, right? And so, I mean, the Niners jumped out on top in their 2 playoff wins, and so when you jump out on top, your defense has the advantage of being able to just tee off on the quarterback. Now, Mahomes gets rid of it quick. He can go downfield. He's got some really good weapons. Kelsey, both teams. I believe it's the first Super Bowl where both teams have 1,000-yard receiving tight ends.
Yeah.
Okay, that tells you something about the nature of the offenses. And Mahomes threw for about 1,000 yards more this season than Garoppolo. So the Niners are doing it on the ground,
and that's part of
more on the ground.
Part of that is they've San Francisco has really brought up this resurgence of their trap running game, and that's the thing is they used to joke about saying all this motion is just window dressing. If the San Francisco 49ers go into motion, I guarantee there's a purpose for it. For them. Most teams do. They just don't want you to know it. They literally bring guys into motion. Sometimes because they want to see the coverage you're in. Then they'll send another because they say, oh, you're in zone. Now what we can do, now we can manipulate this and get the numbers we want. And they'll bring, the running back out of the backfield and match him up on a linebacker. Or what I've seen them do is they'll already have their guy on the out, their wide. He's usually close to the numbers, but he's inside, kind of in the slot already, and then they'll move the running back out and flex him into the wide position. And now what you've done is you've got a mismatch between usually in that situation it's a linebacker on the wide receiver and then a corner covering the running back. And they've nailed Sanders over the middle with that one many times. And they've just been able to widen out the field and get mismatches through just putting up motions. It's really interesting to watch their offense, and you can really start to see some of it open up. But that's the thing is, Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of it, people say it's under stuff, but most of his passes are really, between the 15 and 25 yards. So he's really accurate there. And a lot of it seems to be more towards the middle, but the middle of the field gets opened up and it's usually available. So they do a good job of taking what's available. He can make those to the outside, but I think that's what they might challenge him on now. They're gonna try to clog up the middle of the field so the run game isn't as effective, and then force him to throw outside the numbers, deeper patterns. And hopefully, Matthews can get there to either break it up or get a turnover, and hopefully Suggs and that front seven are able to get and be a little bit more disruptive with Garoppolo. But that's really what they have to do to get this 49ers defense or this 49ers offense really off of a pace. There's been games that, like the last game, he threw 10 passes. They won. They're not all that concerned of how many passes he throws if they're winning. If he throws 10, if he throws 28, the goal is to win. If the run game is working and they can't stop it, they just keep going at it.
Yeah, there's no comment section in the scoreboard.
Yeah, there isn't.
It's a number.
Yeah.
Whoever has the highest number of points wins the game.
Exactly.
Wow. I know. I'm a genius. I'm an absolute genius because I figured that out all on my own.
Nobel Prize.
But, you get caught up in these other factors, right? It's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. And this is a unique Super Bowl in the sense that you have to go back a ways to where you have two head coaches that are really innovative offensively. Shanahan he's an offensive guy, and Andy Reid, long-time offensive guy, right? And he's done some play runs at the city are just remarkable what he comes up with. And so this should be really interesting. I think I'm really looking forward to this football game. I can't say that every year about the football matchup of the Super Bowl. Like, when the Patriots played the Giants, I'm sorry, I couldn't get excited about the Giants with Eli Manning and great career and Super Bowl titles and all that. But if to go into the Super Bowl, we can go, man, I want to watch this football game. Like, if it wasn't the Super Bowl, watch the game. Well, in this case, if it wasn't the Super Bowl, yes, I would definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing is,
I mean, you've got a great
outside the entertaining portion of the play. This Super Bowl, like, I don't know how I'm not there. 3 of the people in my top 5, you have your list of best looking or hottest women, your top 3 out of the 5 are there. Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, and Demi Lovato. Like, Demi Lovato is singing the national anthem. I just watched her.
What positions do they play? I don't see them on the roster. What positions do they play? Excuse me. Did I miss these guys? What number does this Lovato?
They're the entertainment.
Where?
Demi Lovato is singing the national anthem.
Yes, I'm aware.
And she
the only thing
just rocked it at the Grammys.
Thing I care about with the now you listen, J-Lo, yes. I'll probably watch the halftime. I don't usually watch the halftime. I watch Springsteen, but I don't always watch the halftime. I thought Bruno Mars was very good at halftime. The Stones were good. There's some good acts. But yes, I'm. But here's where I usually bet. I make some prop bets on the.
See, Kevin, that's what I'm leading up to. This was me saying that was a segue to prop bets. I have a list of prop bets here that I want to go over, and hopefully you can help people win some money.
Is the length of the national anthem on the prop bets?
It is the first question. How long will Demi Lovato take to sing the national anthem? Over 2 minutes, under 2 minutes?
I always bet this. I always bet this one. It's a great bet. It's a great prop bet.
Over, under.
What's interesting is this is one of those where they obviously rehearsed it. Somebody can time it.
Yeah.
But so I went the over one year. I forget who sang it, but they drew the whole thing out. It was like 2 minutes and 5 seconds. The national anthem is 1 minute and 43 seconds long. That's how long the song is, right?
Yeah.
If you just sing it the way it's supposed to be sung, right? But they always get a little bit, full of themselves. I'm gonna think Demi Lovato's going under on this.
Under.
She's gonna kind of play it pretty.
She's very
I'm gonna,
lyrically gifted. I mean, she can sing well.
Yes, she's great. Listen, I have daughters who were watching Demi Lovato on Disney, 10 years ago. So, she's been around. She was,
Yeah.
So okay. If we're gonna run down these prop bets, I'm gonna go the under with Demi Lovato.
And I'll send you the list over so you
put me down for under.
You have the list.
Okay.
Okay. What will the outcome of the coin toss be? Or I'm sorry, let me read that back again. What will the outcome of the coin toss? They are missing some words there. Anyways, heads or tails? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I only get 2 choices.
Well, they don't.
I mean,
you got to redo it.
We have more than two. We have more than two gender choices now. Can't we throw a third coin toss? I guess not. Okay.
There's no green on this one. It's either red or black. No green.
Okay.
No zeros.
I'll go heads on the coin toss. So where did you send this to me? Where did you
I will
did
send
you
it.
send me this list over somewhere?
Yeah, it was future
Okay,
tense.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go.
It was future.
I'm going under and heads.
You're going under heads. Okay.
So recap
All right.
our picks so far.
Which team will score first? The 49ers or Chiefs?
I believe based on the performance in the postseason so far, I am going to go with the 49ers scoring first.
All right.
Are you recording this so we can recap next week?
Yeah, it's a live show. So it is actually being recorded this week on both sides.
No, I mean, are you writing this down? So you can get down somewhere.
Oh, for this trap. I mean, I can. It's right
Okay.
here.
Right.
It's pretty much everything in on the left
So
side so far. So
Okay, so I'm down
under
for-
heads 49ers.
Yep, under heads and 49ers. Yep, there you go.
What's
Which means
the jersey
which
number?
you know what that means is that it's going to be over tails and the Chiefs. But
If I was betting it, I would just lose all. It would just be all losses across the board for me. I don't. When I put money on anything, I just seem to lose. I did like about a year ago on the lottery. Finally got one number right on lottery. But since then, no. I've in like 20-some tries playing the lottery, either quick pick or picking my own numbers. I literally Google searched to see statistically which numbers were most probable to come up and which came up most frequently. And I literally did one of all the most common numbers, and then none of them came up. I was like, yeah, so much for that. Sometimes
perhaps you should stay away from Las Vegas.
I do. I love Las Vegas because I like to go watch people gamble.
Okay, so
I enjoy
stay out of the
people.
casinos, but don't buy any chips. Don't
Yeah, I
put
won't buy
any
chips
bets down in Las Vegas. It doesn't sound like you're a lucky kind of.
No, I'm not.
betting
That's
kind of
why
guy.
when I go, if I play there's two things I'll play. I'll either play a roulette wheel because I can look at the wheel, and as long as, and that's what I'll wait back. I'll sit back for like 10 spins when they change the dealer, whatever he's called, the wheel spinner guy. I'm gonna go with dealer there still, whatever he's called. I sit back 10 because he does it different.
Dealer.
Yeah,
He's a dealer.
everybody does it spins it a little bit different, or flips it a little bit different, than other people. Maybe he does it, squeezes it harder. I don't know. But I sit back for about 10 spins to see what kind of the average is, and I can make a little bit of money doing that. Other than that, poker. I like poker. I'm good at poker. Texas Hold'em. So I'll play that, but I'm doing it for fun, But you have to, use real money to play it. So other than that, I'll do blackjack, and then I just donate my money. I suck at blackjack.
I won a poker. Yeah, I won a poker tournament on Friday night. So
yeah,
I can play poker
online.
I usually. No. It's a neighborhood game. It's actually, it's actually 8 guys. 8 players. I won.
I had a friend of mine. He was my best man in my wedding. Before we would go out on Friday or Saturdays, like 4 or 5 hours before we go out, he would sit down. He'd be like, "Yeah, I got to make some beer money real quick," and he would hop online when we could. You could go online and play, and he'd just win like $50 or $60, and then cash out. It took like an hour and a half or two to get to the bank account. So it was crazy the way he'd just go on. It's like he'd go on and just get money. Like he never would lose online. So, great. You win beer money and I'll drive. Why?
What's the fourth prop bet?
All right. The fourth prop bet. What's the jersey number of the first player to score a touchdown? Is the jersey number over 26.5 or is it under 26.5?
Well, obviously it can't be 26.5.
Exactly.
Nobody wears 26.5. Although
Yet.
it would really be interesting to see somebody come out with 26.5 on Sunday, just to mess with the prop bettors.
Right.
Like, wait a second. They just they just changed. This would be so funny if they did that. Well, if they put change Mostert's number to 26.5, because he's probably the guy that's going to score the first touchdown. Okay, so if you go with the Niners scoring first, right? Then I've got to double down on that and go with the jersey number of who I think will score the first touchdown for the Niners. And I think Raheem Mostert will score the first touchdown. So his number is 31. So therefore, I have to go with over.
All right. So.
And I totally use logic. And I use logic there, which for the most part will probably fall apart as soon as they kick the ball off. But at least I have a rationale for my prop bet pitch.
Yeah, that's good to be rational. Rationals shouldn't be isn't really a bad word ever. All right, so the next one. Will the game?
And even if it's true, so let me go back. Even if it's Kittle, because it's most likely to be Kittle or Mostert, right? Well, they're both over number 26. So, and they're the ones that are likely to score for the Niners if the Niners score first. So there you go.
All right. So over 26.5, unless he changes his number to 26.5. Got it.
26.5, which I think would be just an awesome.
Do it. I mean, I've never seen a rule book that the number hat couldn't be a 0.5. I've never seen that. Okay, so will the game be tied again after starting 0-0? Yes or no?
I am going to say yes.
All right. How many wardrobe changes for Jennifer Lopez during the halftime show?
So
over 2.5
you,
or under
cut out
2.5?
For what?
How many wardrobe changes for Jennifer Lopez during the halftime?
Yeah, you cut out there. I didn't hear that part.
Okay. How many? Did you hear it that time? How many wardrobe changes for J-Lo?
It would be, yeah. It would be particularly exciting if she actually changed the wardrobe on stage.
Technically, if you take a wardrobe off with another one under, that is a change, and it would be on stage. And Prince did that, and his ass cheeks were out.
Fun.
So,
wow. Okay, I'm gonna say, I mean, these halftime shows aren't very long. I've never seen J-Lo live. I don't know.
You're missing it.
So that would be changing twice, which means it would be 3 different outfits.
At least.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go under. Because she's not the only one performing.
However, I have seen her wearing half of an outfit. I wonder if that's Vegas counts, half outfits in this?
I'm going to go under. I'm going under.
Under? Because it's Jennifer Lopez and Shakira that are doing the halftime show. By the way,
That's what I'm saying.
they've never done a song together, which is crazy. Honestly, I listen to lots of Latin music and pop and crossover Latin artists, and they've never did anything together. You know, and they seem to cross paths a lot. But
I'm sticking with the under.
Under.
I'm going to go with two. See, two wardrobe changes means that she will have worn 3 outfits, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to go with under.
All right. How many yards will the game's longest touchdown be? Over 44.5 or under 44.5?
Over.
Over, okay.
Over. The Chiefs are bound to spring a big one.
All right. How many players will attempt to pass? Over 2.5 or under 2.5? That's kind of deceptive.
Over 2.5.
Because they're 2 quarterbacks clearly attempting passes.
Yeah.
So that means
It's 2. So
will one other position player throw a pass?
What? I'm going to say over. I'm going to say yes.
I think over seems like a really safe bet there. I don't know why. It just seems like a really safe bet that somebody besides the quarterback.
Which means it'll go the other way.
Yeah, probably.
Which means it'll go the other way.
Sorry.
You know that now.
Sorry, everybody. I just screwed that up for you. All right.
I'll say over. I'm going to say somebody else will attempt to pass.
All right. There's 2 more questions. 2 more. Which team will score last? Still, the only options are 49ers and Chiefs. in case we lost track there. The Niners scoring first. Remember, you said they're scoring first.
For some reason, I wanted to pick LSU.
I know. They're still scoring points.
Aren't they still scoring?
I think so.
Points? Yeah. Anyway.
And not sweating it at all.
Yeah. I'm going with LSU. No, I'm kidding. Now that is a very difficult one. That may be that's the hardest one for me to get an answer to.
Yeah, because you really can't base it on much.
That's a toss-up. I mean, that's literally...
Well, duh, it's 2.
No logic.
50-50 is a toss-up.
You can't really come up with any kind of... Yeah, you can't really come up with any kind of football kind of analytics to do that, right?
Well, I guess you can. Which team has had more drives in the final minutes? Because some coaches have a game plan to where they make sure they have a minute to, 45 seconds to a minute left to get one more shot at it.
Did you say last in the... Wait.
Yeah, to score...
Last in the game?
Yes.
In the game.
Which team will score last? And we're talking about the game,
I'm going to go
not
with
in
the
life.
Chiefs. I'll just go with the Chiefs.
Chiefs?
I'll go with the Chiefs.
Okay. The Super Bowl can't end in a tie, right?
Right.
Okay. That was not a question.
I have to pick somebody, right?
Yeah, you. Allegedly.
I mean,
all right.
I mean, like you said, I wanted to pick LSU, but you won't let me pick LSU.
Oh,
so
I
have
I'm
to
bored.
pick the Niners or the Chiefs.
90 seconds.
This isn't Family Feud, so it's not like I didn't survey 100 people. It's just you've been the only one I'm surveying so far.
Answer is survey says.
I absolutely love Family Feud, by the way. So, I don't know, it's one of my favorite game shows, and I literally will lay there for an hour or 2 just watching
60 seconds.
the stupidest things people say.
Did you Do you remember the old Richard Dawson version, or do you
I've-
like the Steve Harvey
I remember
version of
those.
Family Feud?
And there's been others besides Steve Harvey too. I do like Steve Harvey's version, but his character, he makes his own entertainment out of it. So, but either way, all of them, I just like the show. It doesn't matter who the host is. It's always been
Okay, all right.
a show I liked.
Okay. It's the same show.
It's interesting to see what people say, because people say this, some of the stupid, like this one guy, he
10
said
seconds.
this might be Steve Harvey said this might be the best answer anybody's ever gave, and it was in the final the final play. His wife had went before him, and the last question was, name a job that's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it. He said plumber, and that's what his wife said. So then he came back with gynecologist. And clearly, got a response. Snoop Dogg, they said, finish the sentence, pie in the, he said horse. Pie in the horse. I don't know. I don't know.
Pie in the horse?
Yeah, pie in the
What the heck
horse.
is that?
I don't know. A Snoop Dogg thing, I guess. I don't know.
Was oven taken? Was base taken? Was
No. Pie
were
in
they already taken?
Pie in the sky was the other person's
Right. Pie
answer.
in the sky, pie in the oven, pie
Yeah.
in the face.
Pie in the face.
Pie
Yeah,
in the horse.
yeah. He
I'm
said pie
guessing
in the
he didn't
horse. Yeah, no, I don't think. He was. Nobody said that. Zero people out of 100. And Steve Harvey, explained. He
Is
said
that when the
nobody
big
in the
red
world
X
ever
comes
said
up on
that.
the screen and goes,
Yeah, they
is that when
literally
they
say
show a big red X up on the screen?
no. That's not an X. They show the number, and then they get that buzzer just.
Oh,
Now
okay.
embarrassing buzzer.
Yeah.
So
okay.
like that buzzer, and then the Price is Right, their horn. Those are probably two of the most remarkable, I think, maybe sound effects from game shows. I have the sound bite for the horn, the Price is Right horn. I use sometimes. I don't use the sound clips much anymore. Anyways. All right. So the last question. Who will be named Super Bowl MVP? Patrick Mahomes or anybody else? Patrick Mahomes or the field?
In the field. I am going to go with the field because if you look back in history of Super Bowl MVPs, it tends to be some random guy that you didn't even know was on the team.
Or Tom Brady.
Right? Or Tom Brady.
Or Tom Brady.
Right?
See
Right?
that?
It's
Yeah.
some guy that makes a kick return at the right moment, or somebody scores a pick six that determines the game, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's Eli Manning, and how he gets two Super Bowl MVPs.
Two of them.
I don't know, but I think he got two, didn't he?
Yeah, he won two
Yeah.
Super Bowls. He was a Super Bowl MVP twice, and both times he beat Brady.
In both of them, yeah. And he's a barely 500 quarterback.
I'm telling you, if you hate the Patriots and to encourage people that vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame to have Eli put in, because if it's not for Eli, I think they have like 18 Super Bowls or something like that. Is it 9?
Yeah, exactly.
18-9, same
So
thing.
I
A ton.
okay, I'm going to go with the field. I'm going to go with the field.
I'm still thinking about the wardrobe change, to be honest with you. Anyways,
Because
field.
even if the Chiefs win a game, right? It's still up in the air over who could be the MVP for the Chiefs because
they have some
because
impactful
of the
people.
way they run that offense.
Yeah, and they
You
might.
got Kelsey,
It might be
you got Tyreek Hill.
Think about Mathis. Maybe Tyrone Mathis gets an interception, a pick six to win. I don't know. And then he's the MVP.
Right. It could be, it could be any of that stuff, right? So I'm going to go with the field. It's a great question. I like the question.
But you almost have to, based on your other bets. You know? Because you said the 49ers would score first, that they were going to win. You have them winning. So if they win,
I don't have them winning, do I?
Yeah, you said they were probably going to win. Yeah.
No, that wasn't a question, was it?
Not on here.
The question was who's going to score last.
No, yeah, I know that. No, you said the Chiefs were going to score last.
Right. So I haven't said who's going to win yet.
No, you last week you did.
I said I was leaning toward the Niners.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there. That's called a walk.
I mean, I may not even make a pick on this game because I'm a total weenie that doesn't want to be wrong. Because
Well,
I mean, I'm torn. This is a great game.
It should be a wonderful
favorite,
game,
but
because there's with the crazy thing about it, so Jimmy Garoppolo is probably one of the most decorated quarterbacks that people still put a question mark on. And for good reason. I mean, this is really his first full NFL season. But he has 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So, it's tough on 20-some starts to say, yeah, he's really up there. And just if you take the division series, there's times during games that he does make bad decisions. He will, and I think this Chiefs defense, what they want to do is force Jimmy Garoppolo to throw. As crazy as it sounds, that's what they want to do. He does more of timing routes. He's big timing route guy. He throws to where, the gaps in the zones, and that's what it is. That's why I said I think if the Chiefs clog up the middle of the field and force them to throw to the outside or try to bounce it to the outside, then I think that overall will do better for their defense, because their defense has a lot of help and a lot of ability to work well in spill situations. So if they push everything to the outside, the athletes and guys that they have on their defense will be able to get there and limit the 49ers' progress. Again, blowing up trap plays means that you kind of have to understand where the play is going, what they're trying to do, and you have to beat your man. That's the way you beat these trap plays. You have to beat your man. You have to be disruptive. If you can't be disruptive, the trap plays are just going to take you even further out of the play. And that's why the trap plays work so well, because it just gets everybody out of position. Because a lot of times you see this, everything's flowing one way, and now it's almost like the ball carrier has just reverse field on everybody. So they do a lot of things like that to make, things very uncomfortable for their opponents. I can see the Chiefs winning this game. But with the way how dominant and how well and the veterans and stuff that, that they have on this 49ers defense, the people that have been there before, people that can really, just like Emmanuel Sanders being there, on the offense, a guy that John Lynch overpaid for him, but he said it's really a position they needed. And he's been invaluable. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos the last time they won a Super Bowl. So he's been there. He can atone to that. And then, on the other side, you have Terrell Suggs and Richard Sherman, both on that, or Terrell Suggs on the Chiefs, who can really atone for them. And then Richard Sherman on the 49ers. He can really atone for the Super Bowls, winning and losing in them. And that's the thing is, he's kind of in a unique position because he's played a guy in a Super Bowl that had the athletic ability and a good arm. Not a great arm like Mahomes, but he had a good arm against Colin Kaepernick. Probably the best season Colin Kaepernick had. And I think, some of that experience and Andy Reid does a great job, building everything around the talent he has. And I think that just pound for pound, though, it seems like the 49ers have more hands to play than the Chiefs do. Just the Chiefs are so dynamic. If you get down to the Chiefs, it makes it so much harder to get back. But I'd look for this to be, a 3-4 point ball game when it's all said and done. So, obviously Vegas makes money either way with a 1. 2's a push, a 1. That's straight up. That's basically all.
I thought the line was 1.
Minus 1.
I thought the line was 1.
But minus 2 is a push. Isn't that not the push? Minus 2?
No. Minus 1 is if it's is it the Chiefs by 1?
Yeah.
Right? So if the Chiefs win 28-27, it's a push. Nobody wins anything.
Yeah.
And Vegas takes 10% of everything, and they're really happy. They don't have to pay anybody. You don't lose either, though. You get your money back.
You just get your money back.
But you got to keep your betting slip.
Gosh.
Right?
I bet a lot of people lose those, don't they?
Okay, I'm going to make a pick. I'm going to go ahead and make a pick.
Uh-oh.
I might as well. It's our last show before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What I was going to pick.
I'm going to go with Kansas City 34, San Francisco 31. Which obviously that means that I would bet the over if I was going to go.
So,
and I would lay the point.
Say that one more time.
I would bet the over. Right?
Well, yeah,
65 points. And I would lay the point and take the Chiefs.
So what's your final score one more time?
34-31 Chiefs. What was that?
That's the Price is Right horn.
Well,
I was looking. I used to have a sound drop. It got of Bob Barker on here and Happy Gilmore, where he says, "Price is wrong, bitch." I don't know where it went. It's gone.
Well, so I would bet the over, and I'll take the Chiefs and give the 1 point. And I think I'll actually do that somewhere. So
You could go to Kansas
I
City.
like that.
Wait, Oklahoma City. Is that the closest casinos to you where you could do that?
Now there's all sorts of different bets on this, right? Because
there's crazy.
That's the normal bet, but you can also bet the money line where there's no line and give odds, right?
I don't know how all that
bets,
works. I saw it. Hold on, where was it at? I had it up here. I think it was one was plus 101, the other one was minus 200 or something like that. I don't know what the numbers mean. I've never got into that.
Right.
The money line stuff.
You bet 10 to win 8. Right. So you've done the favorite. Don't delay any points. They just don't win as much if they win. So it's a different kind of bet. So I haven't gotten on there and looked at it yet. So, but
that seems a lot more strategic.
I'll go Chiefs 34-31. And that means that with that kind of score, that could be an overtime game. I don't know.
Could be. I mean, you did place the prop bet that they would be tied again, and you said the Niners score first and the Chiefs score last. Could be an overtime game.
Well, now I need to go on there and go on my website and go ahead and bet all this stuff because
I know.
Now that I've bet it, if I win them all on the webcast and don't bet them,
I know, right?
I'd be going, man, right? How stupid!
Put money on that. See, for me, I need to tell my wife to go put in my picks because then we'd have a chance. Because I don't. The thing is, now the lottery gets up there. I'm like, hey, you got to go buy a ticket. My wife is lucky with winning stuff. Like a few years ago, she was just she never calls into the radio station for anything other than to win tickets. She won tickets to the Rays Yankees series. And then a couple weeks later, she won tickets to the Rays versus Red Sox series. And then a couple months after that, she won the weekend. They wouldn't give her the whole week. It was I think it was 4 games, but they only gave her 2 because she had already won 2 series, right? To the Rangers. So I was like, and that's where you got to be that caller, like that number caller or the caller with a right answer to some question or something. My wife isn't great at trivia, but evidently when it comes to winning tickets, she all of a sudden gets through and has the right answer. I don't know. So
she's like a ticket winning savant.
Yeah, I get. That's the thing is, I should give her
the stuff that would win her ticket.
Yeah. And a meal ticket might be this year.
The other possibility is that maybe very, very few people were actually listening to the radio station, and it's not a very popular radio station. So she's like the only one that ever calls in.
It was. I'll tell you exactly which one it was. 92.5 Maxima FM, Tampa, Maxima.
Okay. So
92.5.
You've just limited all the English-speaking people from listening. So
that was that's what they call it, Maxima.
Yeah. So, Anyway, no, that's very exciting that she wins things because I've never been able to win very much either myself.
Well, you seem to pick all the football games, right? And what, you were like 86% of the bowl games?
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody's paying me for that. I just do it for fun, and
You didn't bet on that? Isn't there like a?
No, I don't bet. I did not place a call. I did not pay to place a bet on.
I almost feel like
football
we
this
need to
season at
do a pool because I know you watch a lot of football, and I know you don't watch all those games or all those teams. I almost feel like we should next year. There should definitely be a pool and money involved for all of us.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that because
I mean, we have March Madness coming up.
You know, oh yeah, I always do that. I never win that, but that's because I actually listen. The more you know about college basketball, the worse you're going to do in a March Madness pool.
Right. Just go with whoever has better uniforms, right. Or have you heard of them?
You might as well just go with the mascot.
I know, right?
Go with the mascots, or go with the length of the name.
Did
or
you
go
ever
with the colors? Or
did you ever look up that interview from Mike Leach on the mascots? No,
I haven't
toughest.
done that yet.
You have to look it up. It's epic.
Okay.
He said we have to get one of these Harry Potter fans to look up what the powers of a Sun Devil is.
But we have Mike. We now have Mike Leach east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole new group of people are going to be familiar with Mike Leach.
And Bo Pelini is back in LSU.
Yes, he's back at LSU.
Bo really liked being at home in Ohio, though. It was but it was a matter of time just before the right team came along. I think it was pretty inevitable. I'm surprised that he didn't get hired with O's first staff. So, but obviously winning a national title the last time you were there as defensive coordinator doesn't really hurt your memory of it.
Yeah, and he probably won't be there, like you said. He probably won't be there that long.
Nah, probably
a couple years.
Yeah, 2-3 years maybe. We'll see. Just depends. Maybe if they win, one national title in the next 3 years, he's probably gonna really look at another big head coaching job because something else bigger will come up. So it will.
I mean, given Arkansas's history, he may be available in a couple of years to come. Arkansas.
Yeah, Ole Miss and Arkansas just keep going through coaches, no matter who they are. So, sorry, Lane.
Well, I noticed the other day, I went by the stadium. I noticed that you know where the coaches' parking places are.
Yeah.
They just have a chalkboard for the name. They don't actually have a plaque. It's just a chalkboard.
It's just
it's
a dry erase
they get
marker. They got a little string with the marker hanging there.
It is, and you just little eraser down there so that they can just erase it really quickly because that's kind of how it's been.
It's just it's just a generic one. It just says
permanent.
Football coach. It doesn't even say head football coach in case they fire him, so the interim doesn't have to, get a special
coach.
Coach.
They all think his last name is du jour. Yeah, Coach du jour. They're like, oh, who's Coach du jour? Anyway, so it's just kind of like that here. So we'll see. I'm hoping Sam Pittman does a good job here at Arkansas. I'm hoping he stays. I'm hoping the only reason he leaves is because he's really good and somebody else hires him. That'd be a nice thing.
But if he's really good, he's in the SEC West, and that means that he's competing with, it's probably the toughest conference and one of the toughest conferences in college football. So,
well,
You don't think he would
I mean,
take
it's,
another?
okay, if you take it over the span of time, it's the toughest. I mean, top to bottom, it hasn't been the toughest the last 2 or 3 years. But when you look at the number of national champions that have come out of but look at the ACC. Atlanta has produced 2 championship teams, and it's not a great division in college football. Right, I mean,
yeah.
Actually, it's
national titles
national
are not
championships.
indicative how good a conference is or a division.
Right. Yeah,
by far.
Yeah, 3 national champions have come out of the Coastal the last 6 seasons. Right. So, it's not like 3 Coastal, 3 ACC Atlantic. Excuse me. 1 Big Ten, 1 Big Ten East, and 3 SEC West. That's what you got. The last 7 seasons, I guess now. Just Florida State won 1-1, Clemson's 1-2, Ohio State, Alabama, and LSU.
I'm so happy the Big Ten got away from leaders and legends. I thought that was utterly ridiculous to begin with. Leaders and legends.
Yeah, that was. I thought they'd turn into the NHL or something. I thought it was a hockey league.
Like leaders and legends.
That's how the hockey division.
God, this
like Metropolitan.
The XFL didn't even do this. God, really?
See, we always make the end of the show.
Yep.
Without XFL.
You knew it was coming.
Almost.
The thing is, you just don't know when. You don't know when. So
that was a reach, but you made it.
I did.
You got it in there.
I got it in. You think every week it's not going to happen.
There was a time.
And then, boom, there it is.
Yeah. There it is. XFL reference.
XFL reference.
So, yes,
and we're only a couple weeks from the start of the season. Not even a week.
Thing.
We're a week away. What am I saying?
Except the NFL is rather geographically challenged when it comes to East and West.
Yeah, and North and South.
That's okay.
You had Tampa Bay for the longest was the NFL North. I'm like, what? That's probably the South outside of Miami. This is your most southern team.
Aren't the Colts in the AFC South? If
yes,
I'm not mistaken.
Still, yeah.
And the Cowboys are in the NFC East. If I've got this right.
And so at one point in time, the Cowboys were in the NFC East, and the Rams, who are more east than Dallas, were in the NFC West. So it's like, do you not know? Do you not have like a compass or I don't know, something to look up directions? And I'm pretty sure the Missouri Tigers are in the SEC East too. Maybe it's a South thing. Maybe it's a Southern thing. Just let's start throwing in some random stuff. I don't know. It might be. Just saying. Randomly throwing in teams.
Well, there is talk that Auburn's going to move to the Auburn's going to move to the SEC East.
Okay. I was going to say that they already made the decision to go to the West. They're there.
And Missouri moved to the West, which would make sense because Auburn is actually East and Missouri is actually
So
West.
How would that work for the Iron Bowl? They'd still have the Iron Bowl every year, wouldn't they?
Well, every SEC team has one team that they play every single year.
I guess. But the thing is, most of them are
Okay,
like Ole Miss and Mississippi State. You know.
Well, Auburn plays Georgia every single year, even though they're in different divisions. Arkansas plays Missouri. Alabama plays Tennessee. I can't remember who all the other ones. Oh, LSU plays Florida. Every single year. Okay, so every team has a team that they play in the other division every single year. So they just have to rework that. Instead of Alabama playing Tennessee every year, they would play Auburn every year. And instead of Auburn playing Georgia, I would imagine you might end up seeing Alabama play Georgia every year, which would really be interesting considering how good they are right now.
So Arkansas would play Missouri every year?
Well, they do now. If they make the switch, they'd have to play somebody else every year.
But that's the rivalry game, right?
They would play Missouri every year anyway.
Yeah, that was their made-up rivalry.
That's their East. Yes.
There was no rivalry. There was no rivalry there.
Okay.
Listen, the only rivalry Missouri has is, I think, K-State. I think that's their only real, rival.
I think the people in Missouri and Kansas don't like each other. And it goes back to real life, honest to goodness wars, right? People killing each other.
Yeah, probably.
And so when they were in the Big 8 together, I think. Yeah, they were in the Big 8.
Yes.
Missouri, Kansas. And what's really ironic about that is that it's a big rivalry that they both stuck. So it kind of, it wasn't exactly the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
More like the Aluminum Bowl.
Yeah. But that's the thing is but for the long, K-State is really the team that had the best of it, you know? So that was the rivalry. I had a friend of mine's a big Missouri fan, and he would say, yeah, I think probably our biggest rival is Nebraska. I was like, no, buddy. You got 2 years you won, and that's it. Over the course of 30 years, you guys won 2 games. That's really not a rivalry.
Well, yeah. Well, it was like Virginia Tech in football. I mean, Virginia Tech won 15 years in a row.
Yeah. You're bound to get one. Rivalry. Everybody trips up.
It sounds like I told everybody. I said, okay, we'll give them one every 16 years. It's all right.
They thought they had one, and then Matt Davison caught it off of someone's foot, and it was an illegal kick. It just that person's foot just happened to fly up. It's not like we were trying to boot it to him. I'm like, get out of here.
In those 15 years that Virginia Tech won in a row, there were at least 3 of them that Virginia had the game flat out won. I mean, it was over. And somehow they found a way to lose. Last year, 2018, it was a late game safety and then a pick. It was crazy. With a minute and a half left, I thought we were done, and Tech scored and won the game. It was crazy in overtime. So, but Nebraska had no rivals for a long time. I mean, they played Oklahoma, but
that was the rival. Oklahoma from the Big 8 days. That was their rival. That was an every year game. That was the rivalry.
That was
game.
It.
And Oklahoma, other than that's the thing is they say that Oklahoma State. That's the thing is Oklahoma State was Oklahoma A&M, and it wasn't. It really wasn't a rivalry then because it was the Missouri. They were in Missouri Valley. They came over from the Missouri Valley into the Big 8 from the Big 6 became the Big 8.
Right.
But they said Texas. But Texas was in the Southwest Conference. So even though that there was a game played every year for forever, their real rivalry in and out every year because team consistency was Oklahoma and Nebraska because they were both programs that were winning national titles.
Because the winner. I mean, that was like a national championship game.
It was. It was literally a playoff.
Yeah, it was a playoff. So yes. Oklahoma's beaten Oklahoma State like a drum for 50 years. I mean, I know they call it bedlam, but it's only bedlam if you're at Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma wreaks havoc on them.
Because so if anybody looks on either on Sportscaster or is on Facebook, in the background here on the decorations that I have up on the wall, you can see this Sports Illustrated issue here from the one that, remember, you said you read as an adult from the 60s. It says it was the irresistible Oklahoma meets the immovable Nebraska. And it's where...
Was that like 68?
I don't know. I'll look.
70.
November 22, 71.
71.
Yeah.
I had that Sports Illustrated. I remember that Sports Illustrated. I remember the game.
I wasn't alive yet.
I don't think you were born yet.
I was not.
You weren't even a twinkle. You weren't even anything. So, but yeah, I do remember that era, especially. I mean, that era, there were 7 or 8 games a year that you watched. Oklahoma, Nebraska.
I think my parents were actually still in high school at that point.
Yeah, probably.
My dad was. My mom wasn't yet, but my dad was.
Yeah. Oklahoma, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas, Arkansas, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, UCLA, Michigan State, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia. I mean, those were kind of the games. Those were it. I mean, they were the national games. You had the rivalry games on Thanksgiving and Texas A&M and stuff like that, but A&M wasn't really a contender nationally. And those were the games. Those are the big games that you watch. Pitt, Penn State. Pitt won a national championship in '76 under with Tony Dorsett. So, Pitt, Penn State played back then. So those were the main. Those were the big college football games that every season that you watched. And that was it. Occasionally an LSU would sneak in there with, somebody. The SEC wasn't very big back then. And so it wasn't quite what it is, not really what it is today, obviously, both in size and in, but you had Alabama. But Alabama ruled the SEC. I mean, they won. I don't even remember a whole lot of games where there was, a lot of competition for Kobe Bryant back then.
Yeah. So.
But those were the big games, and so, and Oklahoma, Nebraska was among the biggest.
Absolutely. So, but that actually wraps it up for us this week. For kick us off the air here. But we'll be back next week. We have some guests that are in the works for next week as well. So be sure to tune in. I'll give some heads up. We're working on a new call-in number, and but Facebook, Sportscaster, Spreaker should be able to find us at all those same places next week. But that does us here for this week on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. Like I said, be sure to go over Amazon, type in PK Frazier. You can get all 3 books over there. I just held them up here on the camera for the people on Sportscaster and on
And go Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
I'm not going to jinx anybody. Well, I don't want to. You're putting money on it. I don't want to take food off your plate, unless it's French fries. I will take French. I'll grab some French fries. I don't feel bad about taking French fries.
That's $5. And that $5 won't even buy you value McDonald's. So
I know.
I don't think it's taking any food off anything. So yeah.
But it will buy a beer.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. And we're out.
For using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.